Morning, David. How you doing?
They're coming up. Everyone's coming up with interesting ideas about it. I think it's interesting these storage containers that they're stacking up and making into places, or these little houses.
What do you mean?
That at least gives
you use for Nat?
people their own private space
Oh, I have one right here.
that they can call home.
His personal is his name, Nat Bates, N-A-T-B.
So are you talking about temporary housing or?
I'm not on anything. Oh, you mean my opinion?
Yeah, N-A-T-B.
No, I mean, you know, these,
Comcast.net.
No, I don't know what they're intended to be, but I know that if you have no housing, that would be so much better than
I have a
no
couple of
housing.
speakers.
And then, to me, then you go from there. But this idea of people living on the street, tents, and that's kind of crazy to me.
Aren't you already?
Isn't that
5
crazy?
minutes. Okay, we're gonna inhale our
I
pastries.
feel like it's a product of age,
It is.
right? Because everything seems to fly.
You know, it's funny. I was just having that conversation with my daughter this morning because her kids were there, and I said, "Remember when you were 5 years old, how slow time went and how fast it
Yeah.
goes now?
Andrew, why is your
It keeps going faster."
Right. It's like
Up.
that thing that you were with
Tan.
this summer.
Did you go
Christmas.
somewhere?
It was like, oh my God, when is it going to get here?
Yeah.
And now it's like, here before you blink.
Right.
okay?
I just
Exposing the
put my time frame
underlayment.
between when I'm going to work day next. That's how I,
Oh gosh. That's not a bad way to do it.
right?
Yeah.
Sign anything here? We're gonna get started in about 3 minutes.
Want us to start the 3-minute clock?
directed staff to start looking at a piece of city property for transitional housing. For the homeless, you know, like a transition village, you know, where,
Can get services.
yeah, access to services. I don't know if the services would be there, but then.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it seems the little exposure I've had to people who are homeless is it's you don't readily
keeping
go
my
from
pen?
homeless
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you can
kind of
if you need it. I'll get another.
a good idea to have some sort of transitional housing where kind of ease into the whole thing.
Yeah, and the transitional housing area should be a place where we can triage, you know, the causes. Are there because of mental illness, others are there because of
Yeah.
life emergencies, others are there because of reasons.
Well, you know, it's scary how vulnerable we all are. I mean, how much could any of us survive without a paycheck, for example, of some sort? And when you reach that end of that line, then what?
Yeah. Government giving me my pension, you know, I'd be out on the street.
Public comment.
Exactly.
Introduce.
When
That's not really necessary.
I tell people
Right.
mortgages claim to own their home, that they don't really own the home. They're renting it with the option to buy.
That's true.
Stuff like that. I would assume.
We took out a reverse mortgage in
Exactly.
our townhouse.
Based on,
At the time, it seemed like a
All right,
good
I'm going to
idea.
call the meeting to order. It's 10:05. Roll call, please.
David Alvarado.
Here.
Vice Chair Eduardo Martinez.
Here?
Director Nathaniel Bates. And Director Sherry Stanley.
Yes.
Next item, please.
Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance or observance of a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item, please.
Approval of the agenda order. Any member of the board may request an agenda item be postponed, removed, or heard out of order. An item may not be added to the agenda unless it meets the requirements of an emergency situation as defined in Government Code Section 549-56.5.
What is the will of the body? Any changes?
I move that we accept the order.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Chairman Alvarado,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Martinez,
Yes.
and Director Sherry Stanley,
Yes.
and Nathaniel Bates.
Next item, please.
Public comments. Members of the public may speak to an item on the agenda at the time the matter is being discussed by the board. Under this section, members of the public may address the board on any item of interest that is within the agency's jurisdiction and not listed on this agenda. Directors may briefly respond to the statements made or questions posed, request clarification, refer the matter to staff, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board cannot act on items not listed on this agenda. Individuals who wish to address the board at a meeting are asked to submit a speaker card to the administrative supervisor prior to the start of the meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Public comments on items listed on the agenda will be heard at the time the agenda is being discussed.
Okay, I see we have two speaker cards, but I think one of them is regarding something on the agenda, and another one would speak here. So I'm going to call up Yarder Abe Yamudas.
My name is Jim. Actually, I was going to introduce you
Okay.
real quickly. As you may or may not know, last year we ended with a bit of disjoint with regards to communication. It's on both sides, but this year we're hoping to be able to improve those means of communication between the two sides. And one of the things the City of Richmond has done is brought in Mr. Bermudez to serve as the supervisor for all the wastewater recovery department operations. He's been with the city for some time now. He has an engineering background, and he is now the Public Works Director for the City of Richmond. So I wanted to just introduce him to you and also to encourage the lines of communication to stay as open as possible this year so that we do not have any difficulties that we encountered last year. And I believe Mr. Bermudez would be a very good point of contact for any difficulties that may arise during the course of the year for you to be able to smooth out problems before they become larger problems. So that's my public comment for today.
Thank you.
And I'll turn it over to Mr. Bermudez.
Thank you.
Minor correction. I lost my voice due to medication. I've been a director of public work for almost 13 years, but I have been a city engineer and I've been a CAP director, whatever they want me to do. I've been doing it for the city. Anyway, I've been working with a lot of you here, with the Council Member Eduardo, Nat Bates. I met Andrew about 13, 14 years ago in Oakland, and Aaron working for Veolia. And we've been working together on several emergencies via Verde. So I have met some of your field people, and we've been always working very efficiently and in a very cooperative way. So with that, I'm available for whatever help you need from the city, and at the same time, I'm going to be reaching you from the other side, from the city of Richmond. Okay? Thank you.
Any questions? No. I think that's it for the public speaking on this end. So next item, please.
Consent calendar. Matters on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be approved without discussion. Prior to approval of the consent calendar, a member of the board may request that an item be removed for discussion. If a member of the public would like to speak to an item on the consent calendar, the member should complete a speaker card and submit it to the administrative supervisor prior to the board taking action. First one is minutes.
What is the will of the body?
I'll move the item.
I second.
We have, it's been moved and seconded. Please take the roll.
Chairman Alvarado,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Martinez,
Aye.
Director Nathaniel Bates, and Director Stanley.
Yes.
Next item, please.
Board reports. Reports from the board are reports from the board members on issues pertaining to the overall operations of the West County Agency.
Director Stanley,
I have none.
Vice President.
Yes, I would like to advertise a conference that's coming up in San Jose, March 20th to the 21st. It's given by WELL. WELL stands for Water Education for Latino Leaders. And their idea is that any leader who has Latinos in their constituency is a Latino leader. So that means everyone is welcome. So it's the people who come to these conferences are people who are working in water districts, in governments that have jurisdictions over water control, and they have a lot of great speakers. This year, they're having someone from the Anderson Dam Seismic Retrofit Project, the Guadalupe River Flood Protection, and it's really informative. So I would urge all of you to attend. I'll be moderating one of the panels.
Is that it?
That's it.
I have nothing. Next item, please.
Information reports. A, Joint Powers Agency information. Recommendations. Receive an informal report regarding West County Agency budget, cost sharing, and cost reconciliation.
We do have a public speaker on this item, and I think I'm going to hear him first before I get my report. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Again, Everett Jenkins with the City of Richmond. One of the issues that arose last year was the invoicing for capital projects from the West County Agency, and the need to have some sort of upfront payment for capital projects through the invoicing process. I would ask that the board consider, again, coordinating with Mr. Bermudez and with Mary Phelps and the City of Richmond offices. There's been some concern that really the invoices for capital projects should not occur until the capital projects have begun and we begin getting statements from the contractor. So that's one of the things that does need to be looked at in the coming year as far as the invoicing process involving capital projects. That's my comment.
Thank you.
So two items. One, I wanted to do just a quick introduction to our new capital program manager, Angela Andrews. So she will be working with the WCA group as well on a couple of capital projects we have. I also wanted to make an announcement. I think most of you met Andrew last time, and Andrew will actually be sitting in now for the WCA as the agency manager.
Okay, noted.
And then we do have, because we do have several new people on both sides, I wanted to just do a quick information item, which was included in the packet, to reiterate sort of the highlights of the current agreement we have.
Okay.
As Everett mentioned, there have been some difficulties between West County and Richmond regarding invoicing, timeliness of payments. So I wanted to just make sure that we had clarity around the current agreement. We are working to change some of the agreements. The comment about the capital projects, we agree, is one of the issues that needs to be addressed. However, the current agreement requires that we invoice the way we have. So we have to honor that agreement until the time that we make changes to that, if we can mutually agree. So again, I just wanted to make sure that that was included in a packet because of new people on both sides, and there's really no specific item. I just wanted to make sure everyone had that, and we can answer any questions.
Director Stanley?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get your name. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins, is this something that this board should be saying under item number 7, please add this to a future agenda item, or is this something that's already in the process of being addressed?
Yes, so we've been working with Richmond probably for the last year plus to work through the different components of the agreement. There's been changes on Richmond's side, so we'll get back to that. And with Andrew on board, he will be taking over that on the West County side. So it's already in progress. We've identified some of the issues that are occurring between the agencies, so we'll address that within a new agreement and bring that back to the board for consideration once we work through that.
Okay, because I can appreciate the city of Richmond wanting to address this, and I would like us to not ever be in a position to where we're waiting in order to pay our bills. So
I would ask that it be placed on the next
if you're working
agenda.
on that.
I would ask that it be placed on the next agenda. That way, Mr. Bermudez and Ms. Phelps can have an opportunity to come to the board, and we can work on it in the meantime, but I think the board needs to have a full understanding of the concerns that the City of Richmond staff have with regards to at least the current practice and why there may be a need for a change in that current practice. So I would suggest that it be placed on the next West County agency agendas for full discussion and explanation. And that may have some bearing upon the actual joint powers agreement amendment that I know that your counsel, Mr. Alfred Kerbal, or Mick, as I've been calling him for almost 40 years now, is working on. So I would recommend that that be placed on the agenda as an actual item for discussion.
Okay, we'll address that in the next item.
Excuse me just a moment. Mr. Jenkins, I got your name, but now what was your position?
I'm the Senior Assistant City Attorney for the City of Richmond, and
Okay.
at one time I was actually the attorney for the West County Agency
Okay.
many years ago.
Great. Thank you so much.
Question?
Actually, I did have questions, but since it's going to be on the agenda, I will save my questions for the agenda item, for the next meeting.
Okay.
But I do have, just for clarification, have we had major construction projects between the City of Richmond and this agency?
Oh, gosh, over the years, we spent about $60 million in plant upgrades between the two facilities, Richmond and WCWD. So there was a time when this agency managed some very large construction projects, yes.
Okay, and at that time, was the City of Richmond billed for the construction before the construction was even began?
Was it billed before? Yes, well, good question. I think it was because, because design precedes construction, and so there was a design phase where everybody had to contribute their share. Most of the projects were funded by clean water grants, and so once construction started, the agency had to advance the funds and then they applied for grant reimbursements. So did we ever fund a project for the construction in advance? Not the entirety of one, but certainly funds were advanced prior to construction beginning in virtually every project.
And also keep in mind that the reason why the JPA came into existence was for the joint outfall, which appeared to me to be a major construction project.
It's true.
Back in 1977. So it is something that has been part of this. It's part of the reason for having the joint powers authority.
Right, but I was just trying to establish past practices, from previous projects and this project that's coming up.
I'd have to rely upon Mary Phelps and Yada to talk about that at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
And the joint powers agreement does say every year the agency adopts a budget. That budget is to include operating expenses and projected capital expenses.
Right.
Once that budget is adopted, then the agency bills both members, and each member is supposed to deposit their share of the budgeted amount. And that occurred this year. It's occurred every year prior.
Obviously, that's one of the issues that needs to be discussed, I think, at the next meeting. There have been some difficulties that have arisen from that practice.
Okay. And one other question. In terms of budgets, this has been quite a mystery spot for me because it's been my understanding that budgets are moving documents, and that the budget is just a projection of how the money will be spent, and that the money is not allocated until items are passed that allocates the money for that particular item. Isn't that the way it works?
That's theoretically correct. I agree with that concept, but our agreement says just the agreement between the two agencies says when the budget is adopted, which will include both operating and capital, each side then deposits its share, whether or not a project is actually imminent.
Well, then it sounds as if the agreement is in conflict with Richmond City Council. In fact, Richmond Charter a protocol.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues that I know Everett wants to discuss.
Okay.
So I think
All right.
that's one of the issues that is on the table.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Could I add one thing, just as a follow-up to your comment? So again, there's the invoicing that happens at the beginning per the agreement based on the estimated costs that are included in the budget. At the end of the year, what the agreement calls for is that Richmond would provide us with a copy of all of their invoices so that at the end of the year we do a true-up between what actual expenses occurred and what we actually billed Richmond for. So that's supposed to occur by September 1st. That hasn't been consistently happening over the years, so that would help dramatically if we could get those in a timely fashion. If there was an overage, then we apply that to Richmond's invoice in the next fiscal year. So there is a true-up at the end of the year.
Right, but still, it has to go through the city council before the money could be allocated.
Well, not according to the agreement, but I understand that that's Richmond's practice.
I think that's one of the hiccups we've run
Okay,
into. Yeah.
all right. So you know what your homework is.
Any other comments from staff on 6A? Any other questions from the board?
Not till next time.
All right, seeing none, let's go to item 7. Next item.
It is good of the order, future agenda items.
Sherry, you want to
Oh, sorry.
give that again?
Did we skip over the information reports?
This was the information report.
That was
we were
it?
just discussing, yeah.
Oh, okay. So in the future, in the next meeting, could we add on this topic of the budget and how it's funded and when it's funded and that whole global issue that we just sort of talked about. Is-
Anything else?
No.
Nothing? I'm good. Well, I guess that was the shortest meeting ever.
We've had shorter ones.
Yeah.
That's why I'm confused. It was like it's over before I'm really
Are
getting
these
in.
mine?
Dang. I took a shower.
I can order you one.
That's not even half an hour, David. I guess I'll have time to do all my errands today. Thank you. I know
So good, Andrew.
Cheryl Suddeth, who's on our board,
Yes.
is involved in that.
I saw you.
But I'm glad that you explained it because I wasn't too sure about how non-Latino people might be welcomed.
Right.
And I didn't want to butt in.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to see, to go and see what it's all about, since Cheryl's got,
For this kind of stuff.
They actually have cohorts to educate people about water rights.
For three of them, actually.
I was in the initial cohort